Hello, my dear students. How are you? It's been a while. I miss you. I hope you're doing well. Okay, our lesson today is communication workshop. So, are you ready to write? Okay, let's begin. So, what are we going to talk about is comparing old and new. Let's have a look at our student books here. Page number 68. Communication workshop, comparing old and new. We have this small box. Let's have a look at it. Before you start, look at the two photos and discuss similarities and differences, then read the article. So let's go back and have a look at the photos in our books. So this is Amsterdam's Olympic Stadium. And this is the old one, and this is the new one. It has been renovated or modernized. Can you see any similarities or differences? Actually, it seems that the place is the same. We have tracks, we have a green area or football pitch where players can play or practice the sport. But what about the differences? Are there differences? Like, for example, do you see this building here? Or can you see these sunshades here? Or are there trees and green areas around or buildings? So let's have a look at the differences. So the old Amsterdam's Olympic Stadium, or in the old one, it was not surrounded by trees. So the stadium was not surrounded by trees. It wasn't also surrounded by sunshades, or there weren't sunshades to protect the audience or the viewers from the sun. But what about the new one? In the new one, we can see that it is surrounded by many trees and also buildings. There are also sunshades to protect the viewers or the audience while watching the games. Now we're going to have a look at the word renovation. What do we mean by the word renovation? When something is old and we want to make it modern or we want to make it new, we don't want to destroy it completely. We want just to make few changes so that it becomes nicer and better and we can have fun in it. So that means renovation. Renovation. Now we are going to read the text together and see how the Amsterdam's Olympic Stadium have been renovated. Are you ready to read with me? I want you to take your books and start following on the text with me. Ready? Let's read together. These are two pictures of Amsterdam's Olympic Stadium. The first picture is from 1928. The second is from the present day. Since it was first used, the Olympic Stadium has gone through several changes. In 1987, the city government wanted to destroy it. People opposed its destruction. So, the government listed it as a national monument. Renovation of the Olympic Stadium started in 1996. Prince William Alexander reopened it on 13th of May 2000. The Olympic Stadium has become modern and has recovered its attractive brick construction of 1928. Once again, it serves as a location for sporting events. So, as you can see here, when we are talking about the renovation of a building or a monument or any area or any construction, we need to be careful about the information that we provide. So what are these pieces of information that we need to focus on? When making something old new, becomes modern, this is of course the meaning of renovation, we need to list the following facts. What's the building's name and what people do in it? So for example, Amsterdam's stadium is a stadium. People can practice and watch sports. So is the place a museum, a mosque, a church, etc.? We also need to talk about when was it first used and who used it. Number 3, we need to mention what materials did the builders use to build it. Is it, for example, carved in the rocks? Is it made or built of, for example, bricks or red bricks, etc., or blocks, etc.? And number 4, when did people renovate it and why? We need to give the exact date and why. What has changed and what has remained the same? Are there areas that are changed? Are there other parts of the place that have been reconstructed or kept the same? We need to mention all that. Now we are going to have an example, another example, but this example is from Jordan. Let's have a look at this building, this area, or this building. This is how it was in the past, and it is called Darat al-Funun. Darat al-Funun. So, I'm going to show you a text, but the text is colorful. Now, each color represents a piece of information that is highlighted here. Remember the colors, okay? We have orange, green, yellow, and red. So, let's go on reading the text about Darat al-Funun. So Darat al-Funun is an art museum nowadays. So what is it nowadays? It is an art museum. So that means in the past, it wasn't an art museum. So let's see question number 2. When was it first used and who used it? So let's complete or continue reading. Here, it was constructed in 1918. The 2-story building served as the official house of the British commander of the Arab Army until 1938. In 1939, the building was given to the Jordanian government and served for a short while as the Prime Minister's office. So this is when it was first built and what was it first used for and other uses of the building. Well done. Let's go back now again to see the third part. What materials did the builders use to build it? What are the materials used to build it? Okay, what materials? Let's see this paragraph here. In 1956, it was converted into a private school. The Arab School for Girls, this is the name of the private school. The building was abandoned from 1978 until 1992 when the renovation started. So when did the renovation started? In 1992. Now, let's complete, but before we complete, let's see which piece of information we need now to write about. It is what materials did the builders use to build? We haven't found it in the previous one. I think لازم أعيد هون، لازم أعيد. طب من نمبر 3. معلش هعيد. سامحوني هعيد. طيب okay. Now let's see number 3. What materials did the builders use to build? So we're going to continue reading until we find the answer or this piece of information. So let's see it here. Okay. In 1956, it was converted into a private school, the Arab School for Girls. The building was abandoned from 1978 until 1992, when the renovation started. We haven't found yet what it is made of, so let's continue reading. Influenced by the Venetian style, the building is representative of the Mediterranean architecture that was in fashion in cities such as Beirut, Haifa, and Jaffa in the 1920s, and it is built of white and beige blocks. Okay, so we have answered, or we have mentioned that piece of information, what it is made of. Now the last piece of information in red, if you still remember. When did people renovate it and why? What has changed and what has remained the same? Let's go back, or now let's move ahead actually. We said here that the renovation started in 1992, when the renovation started as it is mentioned in the text. So what happened? Renovation work on the main building was done under the supervision of architect Ammar Khammash. He explains that the approach was one of the minimum intervention. The stone elevation or elevations of the houses were left untouched. So these are the parts that haven't changed, as you can see. In these elevations resides a handwritten text. It is also kept, not changed. In Khammash's restoration, between brackets, changes were limited to those which help modernize the new function of the buildings with their inherent qualities. So here are the changes. He retained the main building's three-bay plan, transforming its interior space into three interconnected galleries. So this is the changes. These are the parts that are changed. Twin external staircases rise from the garden to a garden semicircular entrance portico. Okay, so this is a text about an area that have been renovated, as you can see. Now, what I want you to do is to choose an area in Jordan, in your country, and try to think, or a building, let's say, try to think, have this building been renovated? It could be a mosque, it could be a church, it could be a museum, it could be a historical site, whatever. Try to find this building, write about it, and don't forget to mention the following pieces of information again. What the building's name and what people do in it, and when was it first used and who used it, what materials did the builders use to build it, and when did people renovate it and why, and what has changed and what has remained the same.